Okay, so day four stream of gratitude is gratitude for our jobs. So let's get into it. Um, no matter how we feel about our jobs, right? If our jobs are paying our bills, if our jobs are assisting us in taking care of us and our families, we should be grateful for them. Sometimes it can be hard to be grateful if we feel like we're not getting paid enough, if we feel like we're not getting enough hours, um, if we feel like we don't want to be there anymore, if we feel like we're not getting along with our coworkers, our supervisors, or our managers don't like us, anything like that can cause us to not like our jobs and to be ungrateful. If we feel like we're working too much on the jobs and they take advantage of our time, then we can have a hard time being grateful for our jobs. But one of the other things, main things that take us out of a space of being grateful for our jobs are others complaining about our jobs. And let me tell you, it's really bad to get caught up in the complaints of others and forget how blessed you are to have the job. And I also want to tell you that that can also be dangerous because as we get caught up in the complaints of others and allow their complaints to become our complaints or to make our complaints even louder, we are in turn asking, "Hey, Mark, good evening. Thank you for coming." We are in turn asking the universe to move us out of the job because we're complaining about it. And we can find ourselves without the job and without the income when that is not what we had intended or wanted for ourselves at that time. Along with this, along with this stream, I'm going to also give a testimony of the same situation with myself. So I have two homes, right? And what I mean by that is I have two places that I consider my residency. One of them, of course, is Texas, where I am currently, where I grew up. And my second home is Arizona because I lived there for a great part of my life as well, like half my life as well before I returned to Texas. So my last job in Arizona which by the way is one of my favorite jobs of all time. My last job in Arizona was as a crisis intervention specialist, a mobile crisis intervention specialist, which means that probably five mentions, not yet, but we received that for the future. Yes, we do. Um, so with the last job that I had in Arizona, we literally went out to crisis situations, and we oftentimes work in conjunction with the police department, the fire department, hospitals, schools, counselors, and things like that because we went to the scene. And when we worked in conjunction with the police and the fire department and the hospitals, that was so that they would not handle something that was a mental issue in the wrong way. Like you know how sometimes in the news you see where someone was mentally ill and was having an episode, and when the police got called out, um, they don't know how to handle the situation, so they kill someone or they hurt someone, right? Well, Arizona actually has a, well, they did when I left anyway. I'm not sure about now. I need to check into that. But they had a system in place where when there was a crisis, that the police called for crisis intervention as well to show up on the scene. Welcome back, Employee. I hope I'm saying your name right. If I'm not, do me a favor and tell me how to say your name correctly so that I'm not messing it up. So one day, and we worked a lot with mental health clients as well, right? So one day, people were complaining about how long our hours were because not only did we have to go to the scene of the crisis, but sometimes we could be at the scene of the crisis for hours. I mean, long hours, like 4 or 5 hours. We try to do it all within 30 minutes to an hour, but sometimes you just can't get a person out of crisis that fast. And when we're busy, we are busy. So at the end of the night, before we can go home or at the end of the shift, we have to thank you. We have to do our notes on each visit, on each crisis. And sometimes the notes, doing the notes can take hours to finish. So a lot of times you're not getting off at the time that you are scheduled to get off, right? So someone was complaining, and then others started complaining. There's like a group of complaints just going around, right? And I was about to get caught up in the complaining session and start complaining as well, you know. Now, mind you, it wasn't a real issue for me, but because everybody else was complaining and I understood their complaints, I began to take on their complaints myself and was starting to complain. Well, later on, if for all that don't know, I relate to the Most High, to God a lot. I'm a very spiritual person, and I live this. I don't just speak this. So later on, and as I was walking around and meditating and thinking on God and stuff, the Most High spoke to me and said for me not to get caught up in others' complaints and curse my past. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? So the Most High, you really. So the Most High was like, you asked me to order your footsteps. And I do ask the Most High to order my footsteps and to direct my path. And I trust him to do so. So what the Most High was saying to me was, you asked me to order your footsteps and direct your path, and then you curse your path and you start complaining. And I was blown away by this, right? Because it made sense. And I'm like, and I remembered that when I got the phone call that I was accepted through my interview and that they wanted me to work with them, I was initially like, I was ecstatic, right? I really, really, out of all the jobs that I had applied for, I really, really, really wanted this job. I really wanted this job. So I did not allow myself to get caught up in the complaining spirit. Well, fast forward, right? I was getting ready to quit the job so that I could return to Texas. And I hate to admit this, but this is the truth. I had gotten written up several times for not showing up on time, for being late. I'm telling you guys, when I transition, I've already let the people know, some of my friends know, and family, that whoever is doing my services, we cannot start my services on time because that would be a disservice to me because I am not always on time. I am fashionably late. Many, many, many cases. I am fashionably late. So I'm working on it. Pray for still working on it, but that's a fault. So anyway, I got a call to come to the main office where the big wigs are, right? And I'm thinking, oh man, I done put in my time, my resignation, and they're probably gonna, try to let me go right now, right? Which I'm not trying to go right now, I'll just let them know that I want to go home or whatever, right? And I really hadn't put in my resignation yet. I was just talking about it. And so let them know that it was coming. And so I get down to the office with the big wigs. I'm talking about people that I haven't even met, some of them. Big wigs, white folks. I was not late tonight. I sure wasn't. Anyway, stop getting me off track. So anyway, I go into the office, and there's like 5 or 6 big wigs there, including my supervisor, right? And do you know that they called me to the main office because they wanted to ask me what could they do to keep me and to not go back to Texas. They respected my work ethic, even with me being late sometimes. They respected my work ethic and how I deal with the clients. And mind you, I had gotten several awards and rewards um, from me from the work that I did, even with me being late from time to time. And they were even willing to increase my salary to get me to stay. And I'm still mind blown sometimes from that. And I told them that I really wanted to go home to Texas and be with my family. I wanted to spend some time with my last living grandparent, which was my grandmother on my paternal father's side. Yeah, paternal side. And so you know what they did? Because they really like my work ethic and they love how I handle clients. They love how I did my notes. They love how I did my job. And they really did not want to see me go. Do you know that instead of just allowing me to put in my resignation and leave when I wanted to leave, they they kept me on payroll as a on-call staff at the exact same pay rate that I was in. So that even when I returned home, while I was in between jobs, while I was looking, I could still go back to Arizona and work. They held me in my position. They held my position for close to 2 years. I only went back to Arizona twice to work for a week each time. And each time I went to work for a week at the pay rate that they had allowed me to keep, which they had never done that for anyone before. And they told me to keep it hush what they were doing because they had never done it before. But that's how much they appreciated and how much they respected. When I would go back to Arizona and work for 1 week, just 1 week, 1 week would pay my bills and cover everything and allow me to put something in savings for 3 months, 3 whole months. 1 week, 3 months. Imagine that. But imagine had I allowed myself to get caught up in the complaining with everybody else. Imagine if I had, knowing that I was getting ready to come back to Texas, if I had started acting different with my work, with my coworkers, with my boss, supervisors, bosses, um, if I started cutting the curve, what if I had done that? You know, it would be probably unlikely that they would have been willing to increase my salary just to get me to stay. And number two, even the more so, be willing to keep me on staff as an on call person all the way in Texas from Arizona. So let's go back to being grateful for our jobs, whatever they are, and not get caught up in complaining. Another thing, I was thinking about this while I was in the shower before I started doing the stream. How initially I wanted to do the gratitude series during the day, particularly in the morning. But I'm actually glad that it got kicked off in the evening and to do it in the evening because I would love for one of the last things that we think about when we're going to bed is being grateful. It's kind of hard to be grateful and be angry. It really is. I mean, it's really hard to be grateful, like sincerely grateful, and go to bed mad about anything. And when you go to sleep with a grateful heart and a grateful spirit and a grateful attitude, it also is hard to wake up in a bad attitude and in a bad mood. You actually wake up with a lighter spirit and a lighter attitude and more peaceful. And do you know how much you can get done with a peaceful mind versus a mind that's in chaos? You can plan better, you can organize better, you can structure better, you can come up with better ideas, you can be more helpful to those around you as well as being pleasant to be around. And anything that you need to put together that you feel like you are fighting against to make the world better, you could actually put that together better with your mind in peace. So just think about those things. So we're at day 4. We have being grateful for life and what that means to us. Being grateful for our health and intentionally aware about what's working and what's not and to make things better. We have been grateful for not slapping the shiznit out of somebody. and we have and we have been grateful for our jobs. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. And if you're catching the replay, I hope you find this helpful as well and that you stay in the spirit of gratitude. I wish you a peaceful rest, and I want to say to you all that are joining and watching that you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are more than enough, you are loved, so love yourself and be kind. Be kind to yourself, and others will be kind to you. Good night.